Welcome to the third episode of We Think Out Loud. I'm your host, Cartwright. On this episode, I got the great privilege to sit down with the CEO of Life Without Barriers, Claire Robs. We spoke about what it's like running one of Australia's biggest disability service providers. We also spoke about Life Without Barriers' approach, their thoughts on guardianship, active support, the experiences at the Disability Royal Commission, and accountability. This episode was a long time in the making, so I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for joining me, Claire. How was your trip to Melbourne?
Good, smooth, slightly foggy, but that's okay.
Slightly foggy. It's different to it's definitely different to Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
Jamaica.
So for some of the audience that may not know, you are the CEO of Life Without Barriers, one of the biggest disability organisations in Australia, I would say. Couple of things on the outset. I'm a former client of Life Without Barriers. I've had good experiences and I've had bad experiences. We have met briefly many years ago at a conference, and then we officially had a conversation, when was it, back in February?
Your memory's better than mine.
Give or take a few. And I do some consultancy work for Life Without Barriers. That doesn't mean we're not going to disagree or agree on some things. So, tell us about yourself, Claire.
A little bit about myself.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm Scottish.
Scottish.
I am. I have been in Australia. I came to Australia when I was a girl. No, not quite. But I was 21.
Okay.
And I'm 50.
Yeah.
So I've been here more of my life in Australia than in Scotland.
Yeah.
I came to Australia because I fell in love with an Australian when I was at university, and I loved watching Home and Away, and
wow.
I thought, hey, that looks like a great country to live in. So I came here, lived here my whole life, and I live in Newcastle.
Yep.
I've got a blended family. We've got 6 children between my husband and I, aged between 13 and 25, because we're blended, so
yep.
We're all mixed family, and I started working in disability services in Scotland when I was 16.
Oh, okay. I was thinking what the disability stuff is like in Scotland.
Yeah, I was still at school, and I started work experience, and then as working in kind of a group home, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I studied through university and stayed in the sector my whole life.
Now the real question is a life coming away? Is Australia coming away?
It's like coming away. Just not quite as dramatic.
Yes. Well, in your job it can be dramatic sometimes.
It can.
When you're not so I didn't know you have kids. So when you're not working, what are you doing? You seem to be very busy.
Everyone's busy nowadays. I have a really busy life.
Yeah.
6 kids, a dog, 3 cats, and a bunch of fish keeps me pretty busy.
Okay.
I know.
There's no chill about that.
Yeah, I know. It's just one of those things. It's a busy house, but I do have herb gardens. Okay. Which I really like. I feel pretty chuffed with myself when my tomato plant eventually produces a tomato.
Does not always happen?
No, it does not always happen, unfortunately. So it's really family and kids, which is joyful, and work. And I work a lot, but I love my job, so I feel very privileged. Movies do I like?
You have time to watch movies?
I don't like scary movies.
Okay.
Yeah, everything else I'm pretty open about, but I do not like scary movies, and I cannot watch anything with zombies or anything like that in it.
Not even like fake zombies?
Nothing.
No.
Nothing. No, and I don't do vampires.
Okay.
I know. So there you go. There's a little fun fact.
Fair enough. With the dramatic stuff in your life, I thought you would like weird and wonderful things. It makes sense. I guess. How did your journey start here?
So Life Without Barriers, I have been adjusted my 20-year anniversary at Life Without Barriers. I know, which is amazing.
Does it feel like yesterday?
Look, it's a bit of both, actually, because it feels like a long journey in some ways, but in other ways, I've got so much more that I want to do to help us be the organisation that I know we can be. So I'm still really fresh and really energised for everything that I want to do better tomorrow than we do today. But in the 20 years, I've kind of done almost every job.
Okay.
Because I started in the front line in disability services. I have done workplace health and safety. I've done policies. I've done finance. I've done training. I've done almost every job in the organisation. So it's hard to pull the wool over my eyes.
What was your favourite other than the CEO?
Other than the CEO, I do like being the CEO. What was my favourite other than the CEO? Look, I did really enjoy doing training.
Okay.
But probably the most excited I probably was when I first became like a house manager.
Okay.
Because I thought I was like, oh my goodness, I was very chuffed.
Yeah. So you had the power.
I was like,
change.
well, yeah, and I was just like, people trust me.
Yeah.
With people's lives.
Yeah.
I just felt really fortunate. Actually, mainly that the parents of the people that we supported in the home trusted me with their sons and daughters. And I just felt like that was such a huge privilege. I thought I was king of the world.
What was it? What's the worst?
Oh, the worst.
What's the worst job that you had? Not the worst job, but like, what's the one?
Look, I didn't love writing the health and safety policies.
Why?
Because I'm a people person.
Okay.
So sitting behind a desk, sort of writing policies, I could do it. But actually, I like being in the action more.
I kind of think that it would be too rigid.
Yeah.
Like, I just you do the job because you know we get good outcomes, but it's just like,
Well, I think you've got to love what you do.
Yeah.
So I want people in health and safety that are writing policies that love that.
Sure.
So, and that's because they're going to be good at it. But I am a people person, so I'm better with people than policies.
People persons are not enough. I don't think they're valued as much as academics.
Yeah, sometimes that is true. That is true.
You can solve and get a lot done if you're a people person.
Yeah, well, the reality is that relationships is what makes the world go round.
Yeah.
And so you're right, don't value that enough and the impact of people's lives.
Some people, someone said to me the other day, one of my mentors, which was quite profound, they're just like, you can fix anything with a good relationship. Doesn't matter what's going on, whether you're a mentor to someone or a parent or in the trenches doing some, confidential stuff. You've got the relationships to survive it, you'll be fine.
Relationships come first.
Oh my, yeah.
For sure.
What are some of the ways, talking about relationships, what are some of the ways that Life Without Barriers connects with people with disability? Both inside and outside.
Yeah. So look, within Life Without Barriers, we do try really hard to connect with people at an individual level. So with that, we try hard to help our workers understand exactly what you just said. That it's really important that houses are maintained and people have their food and showers and things. But actually, relationships is what really matters. So people really need to know that people care about them a little too, So, we want to engage with people with a disability and their family members and the other people in their life in a way that helps them all kind of feel like we get it and we're part of their community, I guess, as well.
What do you hear? What are some of the stuff you hear? Good and bad?
Oh, look, I think in some places, and I travel around all the time, so, I'm always popping into houses or different places, sometimes announced, sometimes not announced.
Yeah. Do you get unannounced?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Now, we're very careful with that because it's people's homes.
Yeah.
And even though I might think someone might want to have a cup of tea with me after they've been out, they may not want to have a cup of tea with me in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So we're careful with it, but it's important that as chief executive, I can get a really good sense. It's a big organisation, so I need to get a really good sense of what's happening. But not just me. We want all of the people in management, all of the leaders being out and about with our people so that we understand what's happening. We can support our staff when things maybe aren't going the way we need to have them going. We can correct and coach our staff, and then we can celebrate and praise when it's going really well.
Yeah. But
also relationships with people like yourself, really, on the outside, or, well, you're kind of partially inside, partially outside. Yeah. So it's also...
Remember, a critical friend, so it depends on the day.
That's right. Yeah, I love a critical friend.
Yeah.
We all need one. So within Life Without Barriers, we try really hard to make sure that we're all kind of in it together for
Yeah.
the people we support.
Yeah.
And then outside, there's lots of really good critical friends like yourself who will hold the mirror up to organisations like Life Without Barriers and hold us accountable to community and to people with a disability. And so we work hard to foster those relationships so that we say to people, that we're not always going to get it right.
Yeah.
But what we want is people around us to help us try to be better.
Yeah.
But to also call out when we don't get it right or when we're not good enough.
What would you say to the broader community about the context of connecting with relation to your past 6 months? Royal Commission.
Yeah.
Some people have some pretty loud opinions. What would you say to them?
Yeah. Oh, look, I think, things like Royal Commissions are really hard for everybody involved and really emotive and really important so voices are heard. Look, I think that when you're chief executive or when you're a leader like yourself, there's always going to be people that have opinions about what you've done right, what you've done wrong, whether you said the right thing or the wrong thing. And you've got to listen to that because sometimes it's really helpful feedback. But at the end of the day, you've got to stand with what you feel, with the feedback from the people that love you and care for you and you value and respect around you. And things like Royal Commissions, when you're in the stand, and I know you know, but when you're in the stand as a disability service provider, the chances of you coming off and someone not being happy with what you've said are pretty high. So you just got to be a bit resilient to it.
Okay. So you're open to it then? You're open to the feedback?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, otherwise I can't get better and we can't get better.
As you know, I was frustrated about what came out, but at the end of the day, I'm also reasonable. You'll be damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know what I mean? Yeah,
well, I think also in things like that, you've got to take responsibility for things. And when you're the chief executive, things happen on your watch. You have to take responsibility for it.
Will you take your responsibility?
I always take responsibility. I know that all the good things and the not good things that happen in life and environment, ultimately, I have responsibility. I'm the chief executive.
What's a good thing that's happened in the last week?
Oh, a good thing that happened in the last week. Oh, you know what? Is it Friday? My goodness gracious, what happened this week? Well, I had some really good board meetings this week, which were excellent. And we've done a lot of really good work around connecting with our Aboriginal staff and around our reconciliation action plan, which was really good. Good stuff happens every day. Sometimes you have to look deep for it. So some days you need to look really deep for the good stuff, but it does happen every single day.
How does Love Without Barriers ensure that people with disability are engaged meaningfully on a day-to-day basis? How do you do the practical stuff?
I know. So a lot of that, we really do rely on our staff and our frontline leaders, and we rely on super smart people like Kat, who's in the Practice Excellence Centre.
That's also in the room.
To support our people to really think about the importance of their engagement with the people that they're supporting. So it's not just transactional, it's really trying to journey with someone in their life and have that impact, those coaching sort of moments almost as well. So we work really well with Chris Bigby around active support and then Kat around good positive practice and really strengths-based practice on the ground. And then we try hard to create different ways, and you've been really important in this, Julie, different ways for people with a disability who are supported by us and work with us to be able to have their voices heard at a local level and then all the way up to the board level as well.
Okay. This is what do you call it? What's the word?
Doozy?
It's like a rhetorical question. Do you think staff have enough time to build those relationships? Yeah, I know.
I know, it's very hard.
And how do you obviously you try, but how do you try to give your staff enough time to build those relationships?
So,
because you've got like back end stuff, you've got like personal care, you've got getting people to and from their engagements and stuff. Like, how do you have time to do the basic things?
Yeah, I think I'm always a kind of glass half full person. Yeah. So we have the time we have, and we have to make best use of that.
Okay.
And we have the resources we have, and we have to, but it's not a reason not to deliver really good work. Yeah. Okay. So even though, of course, people are always really busy and time pressured, and we need more resources and more things, we still have to do the best we can with what we've got. I think the thing that we could do better for staff, and I hear this loud and clear from our staff, but it's just hard to fix, is the paperwork.
Okay.
So if we could make some of
Yeah, pay the paper.
I know. If we could make, don't we all? If we could make some of the paperwork faster, easier, less time and burden, then we're making sure that every minute that we can have a worker with a client or supporting that environment, not doing paperwork or things like that, that's what we want. So we watch that really closely. So we try to take away all the things that don't value add to the lives of the people we're trying to support.
Yeah.
But we're not always very good at it.
No.
Actually, sometimes we're very good at adding forms, adding paperwork.
As I say, the way I would say it is you need to have purpose and intention for whatever paperwork it is.
Yeah, that's good.
If it's not to keep someone directly safe and it's not a legal obligation, then don't have it. Like, get rid of the bureaucracy as much as you can.
I was in a meeting the other day, actually, and someone was saying exactly that for what is the purpose of this document. And if we can't say that it's adding to the value and safety of the people, what are we doing with it? Because someone came up with a good idea at some stage to put a new tick and flick chart in, I know, but it's actually, it's harder than it sounds.
Yeah.
We've got to get a lot better at it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What have you learned in that area?
What have I learned? I've learned that I think my biggest learning is that we are better. We almost like a one in, one out deal.
Okay.
We need to say no one can create a new piece of paperwork or report unless you remove something else, So what I know is that we're good at solving problems by adding things to be reported or data we need or a new system or a new form.
Yeah.
But we don't always take other stuff away. So it just piles up for our workers.
The other thing I can think in my head is like Jenga. Like you can, my concern is if you do that too quick, the whole thing's just...
The whole thing collapses. That is a great analogy. And that's what worries us.
Concerned if you do that too fast, like people with disability, the people you support will just they'll have the safeguards, but they'll just be...
I know.
Their care will be just up in the air because there's change going on.
That's right. So that's why it's so important, isn't it? Yeah. Your Jenga analogy is spot on. I might actually use that one, and I promise I'll reference you.
Popped into my head.
It's very good.
How do people with disability contribute to organisational planning? So how do people contribute to the direction?
Yeah.
And how do frontline staff contribute? And how do you tackle issues if me as a participant and you disagree?
Oh, yeah. Well, that happens. So I think, firstly, we've got people with a disability on our boards.
Okay.
We've got people with a disability in senior management.
Yep.
Actually, in our recent survey, I think it was 14% of the Life Without Barriers workforce identifies as having a disability.
Okay. I think your last annual report was like 12.7.
Yeah, so
went up.
better numbers than me.
12.2, 12 point something.
Right, so now it's going about 14.
Yeah.
I think 23 identifies having mental health needs.
That's pretty
Right.
impressive.
It is. I'm really happy
Because
with it.
people don't disclose that.
I'm really happy with it. I think it's fantastic because we want to be the kind of place that's really safe, and not only just safe for diverse groups with needs, that people feel really supported and cared for. So I'm happy with those numbers. So that helps us because that means if you've got 14% of the workforce in Life Without Barriers that have a lived experience of disability, the chances of having people in the room when decisions are being made are high.
Okay, yeah.
So we work that way, but also with the people we support. Then, as you know, we've got various forums all the way up to board, where groups come together, disability advocacy groups come together to say the things they want different locally, but also all the way up to how they want things done. We've got a new project happening around client voice in disability, which really I know that you
I designed it.
I know.
Before I left.
Yeah, you did, which is great. So that's really important to us, and also a real strategy about lived experience. So we're really saying that a little bit back to your thing about people at the beginning, saying that, look, qualifications and technical qualifications are really, really important. That's great, particularly clinical, etc. But actually what is also really important and needs to be given the same value as lived experience.
Okay.
And sometimes we say, it's nice to have lived experience, but actually the technical stuff's what matters. And we're saying, we don't think that should happen.
I'll give you some feedback on that point. Like job descriptions, like the jobs that I have, they have to write, job descriptions and stuff like that. And they're just so written so wrong. Like I've got the experience, I could do it, but I can't. They're very written in academic stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's just like, well, what do we want?
Yeah.
Like, do we want the person with the qualification, or the person that can write 6 pages, or do we want someone that's a bit more direct and a bit more dry that will just do it all in 1 page?
And also, kind of going back to your point before about purpose.
Yeah.
What's it all about?
Yeah.
It's not about looking shiny and having the right documents and things like that. It's about actually having, hopefully, a positive impact in the lives of people. So when that's what it's about, you need people on the team that have that as their primary focus.
But what happens if someone disagrees with your direction?
Oh, people disagree all the time.
Let's ignore the outside, because that's not as important as the people that you support. Like, what happens if there's a new policy that comes in, like a structural thing, or a staff member that might have, I don't know, yelled at someone, but like you can't dismiss them, but like the person's not comfortable. Like, how do you do that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's you getting right into the really difficult human dynamic stuff there, aren't you? I know.
That's the important stuff.
Yeah, it is. We've got people supporting people in the community. It's often without a lot of other management necessarily on site with them, because some people's homes, individuals or small groups in homes as well. So really trying to equip our staff to know that working their way through complex human dynamics is a really important part of the job.
Yeah.
But the key there probably is our frontline leaders.
Yeah.
So the people that sit just that level above the direct staff, they're the ones that need to be constantly monitoring relationships and making sure that we get the balance right when there's disagreements. I mean, fundamentally, we try really hard not to have policies that infringe on people's decision making and choice. But where we do, then that's where that needs to kind of be managed locally. And there's some good examples of even particularly people living in some of our accommodation services who have made choices in their life that maybe even 10 years ago we might have said, no, that can't happen in a group home. But now, through a lot of the work that the practice team have done with people, they're like, actually, this can be possible. This person can choose.
It's a mindset change.
So, and I hope that continues. Yeah, I hope that continues.
What would you tell, let's do a scenario, because this has actually happened. I used to be that person that used to yell at staff when I was under life without barriers, saying that it's my home and your workplace. What would you tell a staff member that probably was frustrated at me because I wasn't listening and I was a dysfunctional teenager? What would you tell them to remember? Because I think staff struggle with that.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
Absolutely. So I think the first thing we often say, and this is from the child, youth and family work that we do, we use a particular approach called CARE. And it has a saying that we really like, which is, you don't blame the lettuce. So the idea is that when you plant your lettuce, you have to water it, you've got to feed it, you've got to give it the right amount of light. And if it doesn't grow, you don't blame the lettuce. You blame everything around it has to have worked, right?
That's interesting.
So when
why blame the lettuce when you've done the things to it?
That's right.
So like the lettuce is just responding of how you treat it.
Don't blame the lettuce. So when you've got a young person who's really distressed, frustrated, had the life experience they've had, and doing their best to communicate it in the way that young people communicate it, it's really important that the workers understand it's not about them. It's not an emotional reaction. They've got to partner with that young person and support them through that and listen to them, not to get cranky or upset or because they're being shouted at, because that doesn't matter. That's a communication from that young person, and they're doing the best they can, and you don't blame them.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive answer. Wasn't expecting you to say that. I like the lettuce. We're sharing allergies. Now we've even touched on this. How does the organisation ensure that staff, we're up to number 7, don't influence or even take over decision making for people with disability?
Yeah, this is definitely a journey. This is definitely a journey. And
is that your way of saying we don't do it well?
I think, again, we do it beautifully in lots of places and
not beautifully
fantastically in other places probably, because I think it's difficult sometimes for I understand that it's difficult for a lot of staff to get the balance right between caring for someone and supporting them, but not being paternalistic and taking over their lives and decisions. I know I understand for some people, particularly if you
Can you kind of like that? Because I get it.
Yeah.
When you say caring for someone and supporting someone, I know the difference. But what do you mean by that?
Yeah, okay. So I think...
Because that was it. Just you say it very nonchalant.
Yeah.
And some people might move past it, but there is a difference. We know there's a difference. What's the difference?
Well, I'll say what I think it is, and then you tell me.
Okay.
So I think supporting someone is probably more practical, partnering with them on things. Caring for someone is, on the positive side, it's actually caring about their journey in life.
Okay.
It can be sometimes perceived as being mothering or mollycoddling someone. But I mean, I actually want our workers to care about the journey of the people we support as human beings.
Yeah. In my sense, is supporting someone is walking alongside them and partnering them.
Yeah.
Caring for someone is like doing it for them.
Yeah.
Because they can't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So caring.
Sorry, but go back to where you were. I just thought that for the audience that listening might not pick up on that.
Yeah.
But like, I noticed it.
Yeah, no, good.
Yeah.
So I think what we kind of want to be able to do is say, we want you to care about the person, not for the person.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want our workers to care about the person and their journey in life. We don't want them not to care, but we don't want them to, you know what I mean? Sort of mollycoddle them.
Yeah.
But I think mainly it's sort of understanding people that I believe that people are experts in their own life. And that's not just as people with all forms of disability as well, whether they have verbal skills, whether they have intellectual disability, doesn't matter. They're experts in their own life, and our job is to figure out how to best support them to make the decisions that they can make in their life. Now, that being said, in a busy group home sometimes, I can understand how sometimes that doesn't...
When one thing goes wrong, everything goes wrong.
Yeah, but also I think sometimes people go into almost like parent mode.
Yeah.
So, they can sometimes almost run it like a family home.
Yes.
It's not really in one way because they're all adults.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult tension there.
So with the decision making in the human rights lens, and for some people that might have been in the field for a very long time, how do you strike that balance? How do you ensure that someone's decision-making is heard on a practical level? If someone wants to, I don't know, drink 4 beers every night and, they got diabetes and it'll be bad, and the support staff is worried about being reprimanded or losing their job or whatever it is.
Yeah, good example.
Or just they're old-fashioned. They come from a different time. How do you manage that?
So we try, again, sometimes great, sometimes not great. We try to really, firstly, recruit staff that we think have got the right mindset and values alignment. That's really important. Then we try to train them. Then we've got supervision, so we talk to them all the time. We use active support, so we use our coaches in there alongside workers, kind of coaching them and giving them advice. Like, see, when you did this, did you think about whether actually that was the right way to engage with that person? And then really having the values and culture about rights and empowerment and respecting the voice and choice of people with a disability as adults and individuals on their own life journey. We all make good choices and not good choices in any given day. When I get to the airport, I'm probably going to have another coffee and maybe a bar of chocolate. Someone might say that's not a good choice for me, but I'm probably going to do it. So we make good choices and not good choices. But we've got to support our staff to know that that's not ours. That is actually the person's choice.
I went to the Royal Commission, and my lawyer after me turned around and said, people can make mistakes. Why can't people with disability make a mistake? Like, it's the end of the world.
I know.
If people with disability make a mistake for some reason.
Exactly. And the thing is, and also that kind of, I know it's an old-fashioned concept, maybe more about that dignity of rest. It's actually, I am allowed to make this choice in my life. That is my right to make this choice. So, and I think the other thing is that if you put it into your values, you try to recruit for it, you train people, you supervise, but you're right in there in the moment when it's happening. So you can say to the worker, because people will often say, no, I empower the people I support, I believe, but you say, I know that, but see in that moment they are.
Could be unconscious.
This is what happened. Did you see what happened? So I think for me, that's a bit of a secret, is to get the person when it's happening and saying, did you see what just happened there? How do you engage? And hopefully, it is hard, but it's so important. So important.
So hard. What are some of the ways LWB ensures accountability to the people you support? Not only support worker level, but every level of organisation. As a CEO, how do you know what's happening on the ground?
How do I know what's happening? This keeps me awake all the time, literally.
Does it keep you awake because you're nervous about it, or does it keep you awake because of the DRC?
Oh, no, it keeps me awake because it's my responsibility.
Okay.
So I like that it worries me. I like that it keeps me awake and that I think about it, because I feel a very big responsibility for all of the people in Life Without Barriers that trust us to get it right in that moment.
What keeps you awake the most?
What keeps
The public inspection, like
No.
playing, like what
keeps me awake the most?
There's a lot on your mind, right?
Yeah.
Because you run a big organisation.
Yeah.
What actually really makes me turn it back?
Yeah. So the thing that keeps me, and always has most of all, is the worry for me that we will let someone down, and there's something that I could have done, some decision I could have made, some process or system or something I could have done that would have prevented that happening.
Yeah.
So
Is that because of the past, or is that because of just the pressure of the nature of the job?
because you're trying to make the right decisions in the moment, but you sometimes don't know it's the right decision until something happens and you go, oh, okay. So I think
that's
for
a
me,
little bit unknown as well.
it's also just thinking that it's people's lives.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not that we make a widget that happens to not go right. It's not about money. It's not about the reputation. It's people's lives.
Yeah.
So we try to make decisions every day at all different levels to try to be the best organisation so that my workers and carers and everyone can. But in all those decisions, I'm always thinking, am I focusing on the right stuff? Am I asking the right questions?
Yep.
Am I getting the right information? So that I'm doing everything I can in my power so that the promise that we make to people we support is a reality for them.
How does your staff keep you accountable?
My staff keep me accountable.
Yeah.
How do my staff?
How do you think they keep you accountable?
Well, my staff tell me very clearly when they don't think we're giving them what they need. So we've got, sometimes when I'm traveling out and about, people will absolutely give me, I've been here a long time.
Okay.
So a lot of people know me as well.
Yeah.
So they'll come and tell me all the time about that IT system or that training or not enough time for this or that ridiculous communications or policy or whatever. But also people tell me through, they Ask the Chief Executive, so people can email me directly into Ask the Chief Executive, and I personally, that comes straight to me.
Yeah.
And people use that a lot for things that they're maybe worried about telling other people in the organisation or, through things. So it's important that people are able to come straight to me as Chief Executive as well. And then I personally manage.
Do you treat them as a complaint or just anything?
Oh, look, it varies. If it's a proper complaint, then we will take it as a complaint.
Yeah.
But sometimes people just come and say, I want to be able to say this, or I want to be able to change this, but I don't know how to do it.
Right. So sometimes it's just
advice. Sometimes it's advice as well. Yeah. So
that's just for staff.
Yeah. No. Everyone uses that in the organisation. Oh no, absolutely. Yeah, people can use it. So so there's different ways that I think I don't feel like people are accountable to me. I feel it the other way around, almost. Okay. So I feel a tremendous accountability to the people we support and their families and all of the workers in LWB for the decisions I make to try and make their life better.
Yeah, but like if they don't hold you accountable, you can't be accountable because you don't know what's going on.
No, yeah, well, there's never any fear of that around here, let me tell you. There's lots of feedback happening. And we like that. I like that. People sometimes are a bit nervous about, oh no, I don't want to tell the Chief Executive that. But we're like, no, I'm just one of the workers here. I've got a particular job that I've got to do, and there's certain decisions and things I've got to do. But at the end of the day, if there's stuff that I need to do better and differently to make it better for the people we support, tell me, and I will do my best to fix it.
What's the biggest benefit you've had about someone keeping you accountable? Like what was I don't know, any example. Someone said something to you and you're just like, aha, and it's made the biggest change in the last, how many years have you been in the CEO role?
A long time.
I didn't even know that. I know the other numbers.
I think about 13 maybe now.
12, yeah, 11,
So
12,
yeah,
13.
so yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
so like,
Yeah.
what's the biggest comment that someone's made of your staff and you're just like, nah, we're going to do that?
Yeah, oh, there's so many examples of that, really.
Come on.
Well, look, lots around systems.
Right.
And lots around silly things that I didn't know.
Okay.
So people go, did you know that we can't do something? And I'm like, what? Really? And then I come back up and go, people, is this true? And they go, oh, well, there's a policy. I'm like, really? I don't think that makes sense. Let's change that. Yeah.
Okay.
So because I'm a really practical person.
Okay.
And because I think I've been doing this a long time and I've been here a long time, as I said at the beginning, I kind of know a lot of it well. So I kind of know what can be done and not done.
Yeah.
And so I think we can probably find a better way.
All right. What are we up to? I don't know.
What are we up to?
Oh, we're in guardianship.
Yes.
No, well,
Yeah, it is.
why was it important for LWB to comment on this law? So, referring to give the people some context.
Yeah.
I went to the Royal Commission, and I want to get my words in check. I'm petitioning. That's the word. The Attorney General to change a law that says people on guardianship and administration can't speak about their own experiences, and that's because one of the people that support me, that work for Life Without Barriers, made an independent decision to put guardianship on me at the time I was in my group home. That was not completely sanctioned by Life Without Barriers. So it's a kind of, I don't like you for it, but it's not your fault because you didn't know about it. But continue.
Yep. No.
Why did you comment on the law?
Well, because I think we also